Welcome everyone today for Coffee and Conversation. We're very pleased to have Kathy Jordan back with us. Kathy is one of the consulting dietitians with Big Y Supermarkets, and a very timely topic with our January 14th meeting on weight management, good healthy weight management. And a reminder, if you didn't hear me earlier, this is being recorded for cable. So if you don't feel comfortable having your image shown, you can stop the video on your own camera so you won't be seen. All right, Kathy, I can turn it over to you. Thank you.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. So I may have met a couple of you at the Walpole Big Y, not sure, but I used to do a lot of in-store events there. Now, all of the dietitians, there are 3 of us that go out in the community and also do these virtual community presentations. We're all doing everything virtually right now. So today's presentation is really going to address strategies in behavioral weight management. So I have slides, but there's only about 14 of us on. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them, or if you want, you can use the chat box. So if you have questions, and either, like I said, just chime in or put it in the chat box, and Debbie can monitor that. Okay, so today's topic, as I mentioned, is strategies for successful weight loss. And I am Kathy Jordan. I am a registered dietitian. I have a master's degree and a bachelor's degree in food science and nutrition. And I am also a certified personal trainer, and currently the consulting dietitian for the Big Y Eastern Massachusetts. So just a couple things. It's helpful if you put your screen in speaker view. If you have background noise, you can mute your microphone. But if you're, by yourself and there's no noise, then, that's up to you. Just the typical disclaimer we do in all of our seminars is that this is a presentation for educational purposes only, and it's not meant to replace any specific recommendations you have from your own healthcare practitioners or any specific dietary requirements that you may have. So it's more for a public health perspective. All right, so just a brief overview, because I think a lot of us already know this. We have an increasing amount of obesity in the United States and an increasing amount of overweight. So weight gain, if you are at normal weight, or you were at normal weight at some point and you have gained weight over the years, it puts you at higher risk for some of the chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, cancer, metabolic syndrome, increased risk for infections. If you have to have any kind of surgery, sometimes if you are too overweight, the doctor won't recommend that you go ahead with them. I know that's true for people looking at knee and hip replacements. The doctor will want you to lose a little bit of weight first, because that will just decrease your risk of complications. And then obesity is actually a cost to society in terms of it puts stress on our healthcare system, and it can put a stress on your own wallet, depending, because most of you are probably on Medicare with supplemental plans. They may not cover everything, so every time you have to run off to the doctor because you've got a health issue, it costs extra money, and having extra weight can increase your risk for having additional health risk issues. So, there's someone waiting to get admitted. Did you see that? So I just admitted them. All right, so before you jump in to trying to make changes regarding your weight or diet or whatever, one of the things I recommend is that you take stock of where you are right now and think about what the reason. We'll talk a little bit about motivating factors in a minute, but if you want to make a change, why do you want to make a change? What is driving that desire to make a change? In business, we used to call that the need behind the need. So you have this need, but what's really behind it? How powerful is that need? So we'll look at things like that. And then if you've ever tried to lose weight before, think about what went really well and what did not. what obstacles presented themselves, what resistance you may have had both internally, like your own internal dialogue, for example, your own thoughts, and what resistance you had from maybe in your external environment, maybe from family members or friends or whatever, your social network. And then if you think about a weight loss goal and how you want to be, you need to think about what you can add in your life that will help you move toward that. And then on the other hand, you also may need to modify or give something up in order to achieve that vision. Okay, so visualization is a really powerful tool. So take a look at what your life is like now. If you have extra weight on board, or if you don't have a healthy diet, is it perhaps affecting how you look, how you feel, your quality of life? Do your joints, do your knees ache? Do your ankles ache? I know, so any of the weight-bearing joints like hips, knees, ankles, the bottom of your feet can all be impacted by excess weight. So if any of those are achy, maybe that would be a motivating factor to get some relief of that. So taking stock is, what is my life like now? Is the way you run your life getting in the way of your success? So just to give you an example, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I noticed for myself in the last few months, I was going out and walking the dog every day and snowshoeing and stuff when we had the snow, but I also noticed I was sitting a lot more. And of course I gained a little bit of weight because none of us are immune to that, dietitian or not. So what was getting in the way? I think it was a little bit too much sitting, being home all the time. Maybe the TV was on or whatever. I just noticed I'm sitting at the computer. That was getting in the way of maintaining the weight that I want to maintain. All right, so think about also, are there some things you don't do for certain reasons? So you got to think about those. And then a question I think is a couple questions I think are really powerful when you're wanting to make a change in like diet or weight or anything along that line, lifestyle, is thinking about where you are right now. So we just did that take stock, what my life is like now. So hopefully you thought about that a little bit. And I want you to now think about what your life will be like if you stay on the same path. So you still continue the same behaviors. You don't make those positive lifestyle changes. What will your life be like next year, couple years from now, 5 years from now? What is your life going to be like? And is that where you want to be? And then on the other hand, so once you think about that, massage that a little bit, then think about what will your life be like if you adopt these healthier lifestyle patterns that you're contemplating. I think you're contemplating them because you're on this call today. So if it's just change of diet, just to be healthy, or if it's weight loss, what will you be like if you actually get to where you want to be? What will you feel like? How much energy will you have? Will the achy joints go away? So think about, will you be able to do more things? So really think about those two things. What will my life be like if I stay the way I am, doing the same things? And what will my life be like if I choose to adopt the healthier patterns that help me achieve my goals? All right, so motivating factors. So if you don't know what your goals are, you don't know what you want to achieve, if you don't know the destination, you're not going to get there because you have no plan. So you need to establish the goal, and then you have to know why you want to achieve it. And then beyond that, you have to assess where that sits on your list of priorities in your life. Okay. Is it so far up there that you are willing to perhaps give some things up or change the way that you do things in order to achieve this overarching goal that you've set? Okay. So think about how you want to be, what might get in your way. Start thinking about how you can get around any obstacles that may present themselves. But having strong motivating factors in a very crystal clear vision of where you want to be is really going to help you get to that destination. All right. So in thinking, so we talked, mostly most of the things I'm talking about would be true for all kinds of behavior changes, but today we're focusing more on weight loss and healthy eating. So there's really no one perfect diet or perfect way to lose weight. Even in general health, even if you're just trying to get healthier and not lose weight per se, there's not one perfect diet. There are some that are better than others. One of my favorite ones is the Mediterranean diet. And I just put that on my schedule, I think in March, to repeat that free presentation through Big Y. That's a really good lifestyle and meal plan to follow, is the Mediterranean diet. So a lot about weight management is attitude. So think about how you work well. Do you need a lot of support? So in your past attempts to lose weight and to keep it off, do you do better if you have like someone helping you along? Maybe you buddy up with someone, or you work with a nutrition coach or whatever. Do you like a more structured plan? Do you like to have a lot of flexibility? And are you willing to do some things to be able to pay attention to whether or not, if you're eating from emotional reasons rather than pure hunger? And we already talked about the why. So, and what you did in the past, what worked and what didn't work. So you want to rule out the things that don't work for you, or unless there was a reason at that time where it didn't work and it may work now. Okay, so when we talk about diet, that word diet, doesn't always connotate weight loss. Diet is just really the how you nourish your body. Okay, what food do you choose? Everyone's on everyone's on a diet. People have diets, animals have diets. If you have a dog or a cat, they even have a diet. So it doesn't necessarily mean weight loss. But when you hear the word diet, doesn't that bring up some negative connotations? Because there's so much in the media about dieting. And when they use that term dieting, they usually are talking about weight loss. But there's all kinds of diets. Like I mentioned, the Mediterranean diet, the DASH diet, My Plate. And a word of caution on this: try to stay away from the fad diets, a bit overly restrictive diets, because you really don't want to end up with nutrient deficiencies and imbalances as you're trying to choose healthier eating or to lose weight. So one of the best things you can do is to try to focus on more behaviors than actual numbers on a scale, and focus on things that you can control. Like you can control how many fruits and vegetables you choose, for example, but you can't control the number on the scale. So I like to suggest people set goals that are more behavioral. So you may have this overarching goal that you want to lose weight. That's fine, but you really need to break that down into smaller, what we call SMART goals, that are very specific, they're measurable, they're realistic or attainable. They make sense, and they're time-based. So you might say you're going to do a certain behavior from today, which is what, the 14th, through Valentine's Day, for example. So you've given it a beginning and an end. So here's an example of a SMART goal. So instead of writing, so maybe your overarching goal to help you achieve your weight loss goal is that you realize you need to exercise more. So you think to yourself, okay, so I'll walk more to try to reach the current exercise recommendations that will help me lose weight. But you really want to break that down into more specifics so that you can actually measure and you know exactly what you're going to do. So in this particular example, the goal is to walk for 30 minutes on weekday mornings before breakfast. Okay, that's an example of a goal. It also should have a time when you're going to start that. Maybe you're going to do that for the first week and see how that goes. You can always reevaluate at the end of the time period. So if you said from tomorrow to next Friday, I'm going to walk 30 minutes on weekday mornings. Okay. Then you could evaluate that next Friday and see how you did and make adjustments accordingly. So make it time bound as well. All right. This is one of the things I like to do on a daily basis. I like to wake up in the morning and think to myself, what are one or two things I can do today? I'm not going to worry about what happened yesterday. I'm not thinking way down to the future, but what about today? What little things can I do today that are going to add up? If you set these little goals on a daily basis, or you make these little changes on a daily basis, how that can impact your overall goal achievement. So for example, I could wake up this morning and say, I'm going to do one of those yoga workouts I have recorded on my computer. Okay. Pretty simple. It's going to help me achieve my long-term goal of staying healthy and fit. Okay. So think about the little things. They all add up. It doesn't, sometimes when you try to do too much at once, it gets a little overwhelming, and it's easy to give up when things get overwhelming. All right. So thinking about nutrition, so I don't really recommend that you just cut out your favorite foods, because I don't think that's sustainable. Rather, you can modify them a little bit, or you can adjust the serving size. One thing I like to do is, rather than put my meals on a big 10-inch dinner plate, I use a smaller 7 to 8 inch, more of a luncheon plate or salad plate. And that's really helpful in terms of portion control, because when you put a smaller amount of food on a big plate, it looks smaller. But if you put that same amount of food on a small plate, it looks full, and it actually helps you feel full. Okay. And when you're planning your meals, aim to make half your plate filled with fruits and vegetables. All right. And here's some examples of some healthy looking meals that include plenty of produce. So you've got dark green leafies, you've got some red and orange, and you've got some Brussels sprouts up there, which are cruciferous vegetables, which are have lots of fiber, and they have some anti-cancer compounds in them. So having a variety of fruits and vegetables will help you get the nutrients you need as you're trying to lose weight. The other thing, we talked a little bit about the portion sizes when I mentioned the plate, but one of the things that happens is, over the years, and you can think back to when you were as a child or in your teens, what portion sizes were then compared to what they are now. So what's happened in society is our portion sizes have gotten larger and larger over time. And so you may not, and it was a gradual thing. So you may not think you're eating more than you once were, but chances are, like, especially if you eat out, your portions are much greater than they used to be. And even though it seems like you're eating the same things, you're actually getting a lot more, which adds up to a lot more calories. The other thing is our diet's a little bit more processed, and it's a lot easier to squeeze in extra calories, salt, sugar, and fat into processed food. So trying to eat more fresh, whole foods is going to be better as well. So this is just a picture. It shows, just things that you can use to give you an idea of what a portion size for various types of food should be. So the palm of the hand is usually the portion size for meat, fish, or poultry. A little handful for nuts. So you can see those examples there. Like the size of your fist would be something for like rice or a vegetable, a cooked vegetable, that is. I don't tend to restrict too much on the vegetables. All right. The other thing you can do with the portion controls, if you think your portions are a little bit big, just start cutting them back a little bit. Maybe choose to eat a quarter less than what you were. So what you would typically put on your plate, just put a little bit less on. You're not giving anything up, you're just having a little bit less. And then the other thing to think about with how much you're eating is, if you slow down and be mindful of what you're eating, pay attention to it, enjoy the flavors, the textures, the aromas, the mouth feel, okay? Slow down. You'll notice that if you slow down, you're going to be more satisfied. And then if you take your time, you can actually pay attention to satiety signals that let you know when you're full, because it takes about 20 minutes for your stomach to signal your brain that it's full. And if you're eating really fast, you can eat too much before you even get to the 20 minutes. So now you've already gone past the satiety signal. So one of the other things I recommend is to start your meal off with like maybe a clear broth or a big glass of water. Maybe pause before you start digging in so that you can get yourself centered and mindful. All right. Before you embark on a eating plan change or trying to lose weight, I recommend you do a kitchen clean out and maybe get rid of the stuff that it doesn't have a whole lot of nutritional value and may be getting in your way of making these positive nutrition and lifestyle changes. So if you have a lot of snack type foods, candy, cookies, cake, pastries, chips, that kind of thing, maybe you can get rid of those to make it easier for you to choose healthier foods instead. So you want to do the kitchen clean out, but then you also want to make sure you have other healthier foods on hand. So planning, we'll talk about in a minute. I have a rule that I use for myself. I'll pass it along to you. Try not to eat out of a package or a container. So if you want to have a snack, put it in a container that you know what that portion size is. Okay. So I have little containers that I use for nuts that equal 1/4 cup of nuts. So that's a designated container for eating that. I have another one that I use for things like fruit and baby carrots and stuff. That's about 1/2 cup. So, you know, if you have little containers like that, that can help you with your portion control and also help you reduce that mindless snacking. So little changes like that can go a long way. So also think about calorie and nutrient density. So looking at the picture on the bottom, 3 cups of popcorn, that's air popped popcorn, has about the same number of calories as 9 potato chips. So what do you think is going to be more satisfying? What's going to take longer to eat? So the popcorn's going to take longer to eat, so you're more likely to not overeat it and go past your satiety signal without not even knowing it, okay? So try to choose foods that are less calorically dense, like fruits and vegetables and things like air pop popcorn. So any questions so far? Okay, feel free to ask questions if you have them, or if you have a comment you want to make. All right, so the other thing that can help you in your healthy eating and weight loss plans is to include protein at your meals and snacks, because that helps boost satiety and helps suppress hunger signals. So it'll keep you full longer. It also helps keep your blood sugar more even, and it provides really important amino acids that you need to maintain your muscle mass, which is part of maintaining your muscle mass is really important for quality of life. We'll talk about that too. Okay. By the way, you can overeat almost anything. So whether it's protein, carbohydrate, or fat, or all three, if you go way overboard, you're going to have excess calories, and that's going to get stored as fat if you don't burn it up. Okay, that stuck for a minute. Sorry about that. Okay. The other suggestion is try to eat a lot of the non-starchy vegetables. And I'm not saying not to have any starchy vegetables, but try to have most of your vegetables coming from things like green beans, broccoli, cucumbers, zucchini, peppers. So all the dark green leafies, those are loaded with nutrients without too many calories. All right. So keeping some veggies already ready to go in your refrigerator is going to help you make healthier choices. Have fruit on hand. Try to be creative with your salad, so it's not the same thing all the time. You can add different things to make it a lot of fun. All right. The current recommendation on whole grains. I know there are diets out there that really restrict carbohydrate, and unless you've been told by your physician or dietitian to follow one of those, the current recommendations based on the brand new dietary guidelines for Americans is to include have at least half the grains that you eat in a day be whole grain, and that for most women would be having at least 3 servings of whole grain per day. This will give you a bunch of different vitamins and minerals that you need, as well as fiber and some plant chemicals that are antioxidants that will help protect your cells from free radicals and inflammation. Okay, so if you see that yellow stamp on a food label, like maybe it's a box of oatmeal or a package of quinoa or whatever, that's a whole grains from the Whole Grain Council, indicating that the product is a whole grain. So that helps you choose it when you're shopping at the store. We talked about this, keeping the amount of processed snack foods down to a minimum because they tend to be high in fat, salt, sugar, and calories. So if you can limit those, you'll probably be less likely to over consume calories and fat and sodium and sugar, which all lead to chronic diseases. So I'm not saying never to have any of these. It's a matter of how much and how often. All right, so drink mostly water. So you need to be well hydrated. You need that for health. Water is probably your best bet. If you don't like plain water, you can always wash some fruit and slice it and put it in your water. Or you could try putting a little bit of fruit juice. Like I put like an ounce on the bottom of my glass and I muddle in some fresh fruit like raspberries or whatever. And then I put sparkling water on top of it with some ice, and that's really refreshing. Mint is another idea. Cucumber and mint is a really refreshing drink. And then of course, other beverages like coffee, tea, those add into your fluid intake. If you can't have too much caffeine, you can always use the decaffeinated. I have right now, I am drinking, what is it? It's caffeine-free chai tea. That's what I'm drinking. All right. So thinking about snacking, we talked about cut up fruits and veggies. What other snacks do you guys have? Does anybody have any ideas that you want to share about healthy snacks that you've tried in the past or that you currently choose in your diets? Anybody like nuts, for example? Have you switched to that?
Kathy, we have a nut allergic child, but I love just a little of no sugar added sun butter on rice cakes.
Oh, okay. So, okay, good point. So if you have a nut allergy, oftentimes a snack like sunflower seeds might work, or maybe roasted chickpeas. So chances are those are less allergenic. And like you mentioned, the sun butter and celery sticks is pretty good, by the way, or on apple slices. Yeah, I like that myself. And you can get sun butter in different flavors now too. I know 88 Acres has a chocolate sun butter, a teeny bit more sugar, but if you watch your portion, it gives you a little bit more variety. And then you can see these pictures here on my slide. Don't some of those snacks look really yummy?
Yeah.
Is your nut allergy also a peanut allergy?
Yes, all nuts.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right. That's tricky. Oftentimes, if someone has a peanut allergy, they also have a tree nut allergy and vice versa. Okay. So moving on. All right. So exercise. I mentioned earlier, I am a dietitian. I am also a certified personal trainer. I have a presentation coming up with the Hingham Public Library. I believe, hang on one second, I'm going to open up my planner and tell you when this is. I know you have exercise too at the center that you can do virtually. But if you want some ideas of things that you can do at home safely, next Tuesday evening, January 19th at 7 p.m. through the Hingham Public Library, I am doing a live virtual fitness class that is going to talk about the current recommendations for fitness, as well as show proper form for adding some strength training and balance exercises into your daily life that you can do right in your own home with very little or no equipment. So, so maybe, for example, the Zoom class didn't fit in and you were thinking about something to do at home, or maybe you do the Zoom class, but you want to add some more strength training. So that's a free presentation as well.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
This is Linda Winslow. My question about the exercise, is it also, are the recommendations done according to what's age appropriate or ability appropriate? Are they categorized like that?
Well, the current recommendations from the American Heart Association and the American College of Sports Medicine suggest that 150 minutes of exercise per week is what's been shown to help reduce the risk of chronic disease and keep you healthy. In addition, or as part of that, the suggestion is to do strength training or resistance type exercises twice a week using all the major muscle groups. So maybe doing 8 to 10 different types of exercise, weight bearing exercise, and do like 8 to 20 reps. Okay.
Right. Now,
So,
are you familiar with the gentleman that we have coming to our senior center? Steve Avellino is his name.
Yeah, I don't know, but if he's a certified trainer and exercise physiologist, I'm sure the programs that he offers are appropriate.
Well, that's what I'm saying. As an elderly person who hates exercise,
Yeah,
and I've made myself do it because my mother lived to be 99. I want to live to be 100. So.
oh, good for you. Well, I like what I'm hearing. So just so you know, I taught senior fitness 3 days a week in Ann Arbor, Michigan for 6 years straight. And I also taught in some satellite centers as well. We had people from late 50s into their 90s, and some people had to sit in a chair, and some people, I had the gamut. I had one gentleman who was in his mid 70s who ran 2 miles to my class, did my class and ran 2 miles home.
Oh God.
And I had other people who were did the exercise from the chair. So I showed both ways to do everything.
Right.
I personally, I'm 66, so I taught exercise off and on throughout my career. So recently I don't jump around like I used to. Yeah.
But I people tell me I don't look my age, but I don't act my age either, and I don't want to. So
yeah, I think you're onto something there.
Yeah. But I know it's ability. I know there's women in the classes I've been taking. They're much like 10 years older than me, and they're doing better than I am. But it's all good. It's all good. And
so one of the things I recommend to people is don't worry about the people around you and where they are.
Yeah.
It's where you are now, and can you move forward? That's the main thing, because if you compare yourself to other people, there's always people that seem in your mind, you think they're in a better spot or not in as good a spot. But it's not really productive to compare yourself to someone else, because everybody has a different background, different health history, blah, 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 blah. So just look at where you are now and think about, what can I do to improve my quality of life or to maintain my quality of life, whichever, moving forward. But just keep in mind that, as you just mentioned, exercise is a really important part of it. It not only helps you manage your weight, but it helps you maintain healthy bones and muscles, energy levels, reduce your risk for disease. It helps improve sleep, and we all know how important sleep is. It also helps you manage stress, and inadequate sleep and stress can mess up your hunger hormones so that you feel hungrier all the time. So there's
Right.
all these things are all interconnected.
Right.
So you need the whole package when you're looking at health. So if you want to have a good quality of life moving forward, you want to be as healthy as possible. You have to have a healthy diet, exercise regularly, get adequate sleep, manage stress, and of course, maintain a social network that's not all inclusive bliss, but that's among some of the things that will help you have a healthy lifestyle. All right, so stay active. As I mentioned, that's me. I'm swimming off the coast of Hull. I've been a swimmer my whole life. If you caught Jackie earlier on when she was on, because she was my neighbor and we had a pool in our backyard. But any kind of exercise that's cardio in nature that helps you strengthen your heart and lungs, like swimming, walking, Zumba class, line dancing, even some of the chair exercise where you keep your various body parts moving, dance, all those types of things are good for your heart, your lungs, and then don't forget your strength training. So that will help with your overall health. All right, so emotional eating. So when we talked about obstacles earlier in the presentation, sometimes what gets in our way of achieving our goals is using food as a coping mechanism. So there's a lot of stress right now in the world. So pay attention. Do you use food to help you cope? Or maybe it's boredom. Okay, that's a pretty common one, eating when you're bored, especially if you have to be stuck at home a lot more. So doing that kitchen clean out will help. Coming up with an idea of what else you can do when you feel stressed or you're bored. Coming up with activities other than eating to help you manage those times. All right. But certainly when you are eating, try to pay attention to what you're eating. Enjoy your food, slow it down, and you'll find that you'll be more satisfied. All right. So we talked a lot about having goals and everything. It's all well and good to have a goal, but if you don't have a plan to go along with it, chances are you're not going to get there. So one of the things for weight loss that you need to plan is, first of all, we talked about what kinds of foods are you going to eat moving forward. So if you're trying to lose weight, are you going to follow maybe something like a Mediterranean diet? And I'm not using that term diet as Mediterranean diet is not a weight loss diet, though people can use it to help them manage their weight and lose weight. But it's not. A Mediterranean diet is just a healthy style of eating, but I highly recommend that style. But say you were going to use like that concept, the Mediterranean style of eating. Well, how are you going to do that? First of all, you have to think about what you're going to have for meals and snacks. Then you have to acquire that food and bring it into your house, right? So maybe come up with like a meal plan for the week. Then you can use that to make your shopping list. And then you can plan how are you going to get your groceries? Are you going to have them delivered? Are you going to go pick them up curbside? Are you actually going to go into the store? It seems funny because I didn't even mention these things if I had done this presentation a year ago. But here we are in the midst of a pandemic, and we have to think about how do we acquire our groceries. So whatever you choose, make sure you have your list and go over it a couple times, because it's so frustrating just not to have the things and not be able to just run into the store anytime you want. Things need to be a little bit more well thought out now, so we reduce our exposure to COVID-19. So when you're planning your meals, make sure you think about health and not just about weight loss. So think about what I said today about filling half your plate with fruits and vegetables. Is that something you can do? Can you include some other healthy things like fatty fish meals like salmon or tuna or whatever a couple times a week? Can you add some legumes into your diet? Can you choose the leaner meats if you're a meat eater? Can you choose the leaner ones rather than the ones that are fattier, which aren't good for heart health and are going to be more caloric? So do you want to try some new recipes so you don't get bored? So think about all these things and then make your plan, make time. You have to have time for your plan. You have to have time to execute your plan. All right. So there's a lot of research that shows even if you're overweight right now, even small weight losses like 5 to 10% of your body weight can have a huge impact on your health. So if it seems a little overwhelming, maybe just focus on that. My sister lost a lot of weight a few years back, and it was a little overwhelming. So what she did was she broke it down to just focusing on 10 pounds at a time. And then she adjusted her behavior patterns accordingly. Okay. Let's see, fruits and vegetables, legumes, whole grains. If you have all those things in your diet, you'll be getting plenty of fiber. We talked about all the other things on that list. Okay. So once again, think about a couple of small changes you can implement into your daily routine. Do them over and over again until they become habits. Allow some flexibility. You're not going to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. I certainly am not, but I've managed to be able to figure out how to manage my weight successfully for the last 40 years. I developed a formula that works for me. And like I said, I think I gained a couple pounds during COVID-19, but I realized it and I'm self-corrected. So just keeping an eye on it helps as well. But be patient because it takes time. And guess what? The days are going to go by one way or another. So you can choose to do things that move you closer to your goal or not. But those days are going to go by. So just be patient. Keep one foot in front of the other. If you get a little sidetracked, don't worry about it. Just acknowledge it. Think about it a little bit, perhaps what you can do differently in the future. Don't beat yourself up about it and just move forward. And just realize that all those little things that you do can lead to big results. Here's some resources. So they just updated the dietary guidelines. So you can just go to dietaryguidelines.gov, which isn't on here because that just came out. My Plate is another one. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can go to eatright.org, which is the website for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the organization for registration of dietitians in the United States. And up the top here, you see the bigY.com/livingwell/getsocial. If you go to that website, you will see a list of free events that the three of us here, Jackie Duran, Jackie Campbell, and myself, offer every month on all kinds of topics from heart health to weight loss to Mediterranean diet to some cooking demos. And they're all virtual and they're all free. And then additionally, we offer 15-minute nutrition coaching sessions, and we've each set aside an hour a week to do that. My schedule is a little bit flexible. I have 4:30 to 5:30 on Mondays, but I'm a little bit flexible. I work entirely out of my house now. So if that time doesn't accommodate you, other times can be scheduled, but the contact information is right there. My email address is kathijordan.msrd@gmail.com. Let's see what else. And that's, once again, here's my contact information, and there's the link down the bottom to where you can see a whole bunch of free events that the dietitians that work with me have. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. Just one comment I'd like to make about, we are sitting a lot and we are watching TV a lot. And what I try to do is watch programs without commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Because the commercials are so full of food.
Oh.
Diet programs, weight loss programs.
Yeah.
Also, advertisements for shows that are about people that are probably the healthiest people, unhealthiest people I've seen on TV, all the reality shows.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't understand it, why they don't have a nice, like a nice normal show. The cooking shows are good, but then you get hungry. So you
I know.
can't watch all of them. And
Uh.
I'd love to be able to cook like that. But I think that somehow the media, I don't know, who can be put in charge of it? The American Dietetics, so they have got to stop the spread of obesity, and it's hitting our children.
You know, and this isn't political, okay?
Yeah, no.
But when Michelle Obama was the first lady, and she had that emphasis on health and nutrition, she had a lot of programs in place to help with, especially for the children. Right. And apparently a lot of those didn't get funding moving forward. Not a whole lot of oversight in terms of advertising. There is some oversight for the advertising unhealthy stuff to children. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot of that has been loosened up in the last 4 years. So hopefully maybe there'll be a little bit more emphasis on health moving forward. We'll see what happens. But certainly sitting in front of the TV is not really conducive to weight loss. So a suggestion I have is to take a break from TV and see what else you can do. Maybe if you have another part of your room where you can go and do some stretching, pick up another type of hobby. But it's really hard when we're home a lot, isn't it? It's harder now.
Yeah.
I don't know how mobile you are. I know for myself, I get out and go for a walk every day.
Right.
Unless it's really bad weather or, I mean, there was a day this week that I had a lot of different work things I had to do. So I didn't get my full walk in. But instead I did a yoga workout. As I mentioned, I have a bunch of, I'm a personal trainer myself. Plus I have a whole bunch of workouts on my computer that I pull up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but I think just distracting yourself too, getting away from the TV and just try to think of other activities that you can do. It's like one giant food queue.
Right. I'm sure you're aware of all the blue zones around the world.
Yep.
And that's something that's very fascinating to know about too.
Yep. We talk a little bit about that kind of thing, like in the Mediterranean diet presentations that we do. And I think Jackie Duran has a presentation where she talked about blue zones a little bit.
Right.
So there's certainly certain lifestyles that have been studied and shown to contribute to improved quality of life and duration of life.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that has to do with not only diet, but lifestyle in general, like the amount of exercise, the types of stress. Okay. Mm-hmm. They may have less stress, or they may be living in an environment with cleaner air. So there's all these different factors. Mm-hmm. But diet is certainly one of the big ones. Exercise is another one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of research also that shows that if you can get outside and get some fresh air, maybe a walk in the woods or just a ride down to the beach, that has a big impact on health as well. So I used to live just a couple blocks off of Nantasket Beach, and I used to walk along the beach every day, and you get down there and just go, oh. Now I moved up to Maine, and I live in a rural area, and I'm surrounded by mountains, and I have a bit of land here, and I have trails all through the woods, and it has the same effect as walking on the beach. You just get that more relaxed feeling. And I think, I don't know, like there used to be a really nice town forest in Walpole. Is that still there?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that a good place to go for a walk?
Yeah, you can actually walk from behind the senior center over White Bridge, which is over the Neponset River, way up to the Jarvis Farm. You can cross over. It's just, I've not done it, but.
Okay. So for those of you who are able to do that, if you can buddy up with someone, and get out and go for a walk once in a while, because I don't recommend walking by yourself. But if you have someone that would be a wonderful thing, or even just taking a walk around your neighborhood. There's a lot to helping you with your state of mind. Plus it's increased activity and it's getting you out of the house.
Mhm.
And outside right now, unless it's icy, is probably a safer place than inside.
Right.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
We doing okay time-wise, Debbie?
Yes, we're doing fine. I
Okay.
did just want to point out for anyone who receives the weekly e-news that gets sent out on Fridays, I have been listing the Big Y virtual program. So there's a section of the newsletter that says additional virtual programs to explore. And I've been putting that right in there. And Kathy, you're right. There's just a lot of different topics, really interesting ones.
Oh.
Just click and join those when you're, if anything strikes your fancy.
Yeah, I think that reminds me, on January 28th, I am doing that supporting immunity with nutrition again.
Mm-hmm.
I might modify the presentation a little bit, because I'm going to have one of the pharmacists or pharmacy interns join that and talk a little bit more about lifestyle and vaccines and things like that. So she'll be,
Interesting.
I think Abby's her name. I think she's going to be joining me for that.
Okay. And so that will be listed as well. Does anyone else have any questions for Kathy? You've been kind in giving us a whole hour, so I want to respect your time and close up for today. All right. Next week, we actually have Eddie, the Big Y pharmacist, to come on to talk about the COVID-19 vaccine. So I'm sure that we'll have a lot of people join about that.
Yeah. Okay, that's excellent. I think he'll probably be talking about the rollout of that at Big Y, which is awesome.
All right.
I got my shingle shot at the Walpole Big Y. That's a 2 series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Eddie's a great speaker.
Yeah.
Yes. We're familiar with Eddie. We're
Yeah.
happy to have him back as well.
Okay. Well, I'm going to sign off. I'll let you guys chat with whatever else you want to chat with. Bye everybody. Happy New Year.
Bye everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right. You're welcome.
Bye.